Hey, welcome to New Jump City, everybody, where we recap the week in American and Japanese sequential art. I am your host, Christian, the unbiased king, Espinal, and joining me through Discord, it is the man, the myth, the legend, the tank top sage. It's Joshua Gangsta Time Cole.
It's called Partner, but it should be called Gangsta Time.
What's good, Chris, and everybody listening?
Oh, yeah. Also joining us, it is our producer, Edgelord Big News Brian.
What's up, nerds?
Hey, we're back, baby. New episode, very excited to talk about. We got some manga to get into, but let's get some plugs out of the way. You can find me at the Chris Espinal on Twitter and Instagram. Joshua Cole, where can they find you?
At JD_Cole_37. That's on Instagram, and at New Jump City Josh on TikTok and X.
Yo, yeah, Brian.
You can find me at b.esp on both Instagram and Twitter. And if you ever want to catch me when I'm streaming, you can find me at twitch.tv/itspunchline.
Oh, yeah. You can follow the show itself at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram. Email us at newjumpcitypod@gmail.com with any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about. And we will talk about it in our pre-show chat show that we do every week. Well, mostly every week. If we're all here, we'll do it. But it's our little podcast show where we kind of talk shit about anything, whether it's sports and movies and TV shows we were watching, and maybe even some anime as well. So get into that. Watch that show. Hope you guys are enjoying it, and send us some questions to answer. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, not Google Podcasts. That place is now defunct. Castbox, Pocket Cast, and as always, the ever important YouTube channel. Please like, share, subscribe on that. That would be super helpful. And yeah, without further ado, that's all the plugs. Let's get straight into the show.
Bloody Cross.
Sakamoto Days. This is Sakamoto Days, chapter 191, Out of Luck. Last we left off, Shin has been going crazy. Not Shin. Tenkyu has been going crazy ever since he realized that Shin has been lying to him the whole time, and that Atari is in fact the JAA fortune teller and not him. So everybody is now on the run. Daikyu, I think his name was, got killed by Tenkyu, so there's not much help left. We last left off with Atari using a bag of scraps to shake around and manifested a gun for Shin. Pretty nuts, I would say. But they managed to escape a little bit, and now Shin is thinking to himself that, man, I underestimated Tenkyu. He's not someone who can be controlled. So, you know, Heisuke points out to him, is like, whoa, so this girl's the world's greatest fortune teller, right? I imagine was way off. I was expecting much more of an old lady. And Shin asks Atari what he is, why Atari is helping him. And I forget what this lady's name, but she spits at him and says, don't get the wrong idea, punk. You just happen to be Atari's lucky item of the day. And yeah, Shin turns around, and Atari is thinking to herself, he doesn't really look at all like Gary Oldman. It's a weird crush to have. Gary Oldman's like 70 or something. Gary Oldman is literally an old man. But anyway, he's like, who asked you anyway? And Shin grabs her. Oh no, Atari grabs Shin, and Shin's like, why are you grabbing me? And Atari's like, well, it's important to hang on to your lucky item. Shin like breaks her grip, and then at that moment, a fucking flower pot falls from the sky and hits Atari right on the head. And everybody's just like, what the hell? What just happened? And Atari's like, I can't move. And it's because she apparently just stepped on 100 pieces of gum. And Atari now grips onto Shin. And Heisuke's like, wow, that's some bad luck. And the female guard is like, I guess she's unlucky today if she's not touching her lucky item. And Atari is thinking to herself, like, man, my luck has definitely taken a sharp turn for the worse. Could it be that? And in that moment, Tenkyu pulls up, blasts through a wall, and he starts attacking again. He smacks the shit out of the female guard, sends her flying. Heisuke tries to make some shots against him, and he just gets stomped, it looks like, by Tenkyu. Shin grabs Atari to get away from him, and as he's about to let loose some arrows, Shin just like lets go and takes all the arrows for Atari. It doesn't seem to kill him at all, but at long last, Tenkyu is able to get a hold of Atari, and he's like, "This will solve everything." And he asks Atari how he can patch things up with X, and Atari explains that it's impossible, and the alternative identity of X will never accept him. And Tenkyu's like, "I'm asking how we can go back to how we were before." And Atari's like, deep down, so And Tenkyu's like, "I know. Use your fortune teller good luck to fix it." And he's like, "I can't do it. I'm all out of luck." And Atari explains that everyone has a limited amount of luck in their lifetime. My powers only give me the ability to withdraw future luck. Now that it's run dry, I won't be lucky anymore. And she explains that such is the fate of those who survive in the world of assassins on nothing but fortune-telling skills. And yeah, everybody's just like, "Damn, she used up all her luck." And Tenkyu's like, "Well, crap, I came all this way and it's worthless. But hey, I mean, even if you're out of luck, you're still alive, so you must have a little left." And Atari explains that she's already decided what to use the last little bit of luck she has on. That's when Tenkyu seems to get pissed and just like chokes her, like carries her by her neck. He's like, "Sometimes you just want what someone else has, And Shin is getting pissed because he's like, "How could this animal hurt this defenseless girl? I was wrong giving him the benefit of the doubt. I have no doubt he would hesitate to kill Hana or Aoi to serve his goals." And he picks up a piece of sharded glass, and he says, "There are people in this world that cannot be allowed to live." And he immediately makes a kill strike towards Tenkyu, manages to cut his cheek a little, and he gets Atari to Heisuke and tells him to just like go on without him, because he's resigning from the Sakamoto store. He gives his name tag to Atari, hoping that, since it's like his most cherished possession, that some of the luck that comes from it will rub off on her. And it's like he's there with her. And he explains, "Ultimately, deep down, I'm still an assassin. I'm staying behind to kill this slime." And that's where the chapter ends. Oh boy. Josh, what did you think about Sakamoto Days, chapter 191?
Yeah, this was cool. I don't know if Shin saying that he's gonna murder somebody is like a big deal to me. It doesn't have that profound effect. That I don't know if that's what the author was trying to get across. I mean, they're fighting against people that kill others. It's not like, I don't think you have to call yourself an assassin in order to defend yourself. And he's literally attacking them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think he's strong enough to put him down in a non-lethal way. Therefore, and I don't think they can run away from him either for that long. So sounds like this is something he has to do. But I guess I get the mentality that he's probably not thinking that far ahead. He just figures, no, I want to end this person's life because they're a threat to the people I care about. And, I guess that alone qualifies you to be an assassin or at least a murderer. So whatever. I don't really care one way or another. I don't know how Shen thinks he's gonna beat Tenkyu, but maybe he'll level up here. Maybe the girl will help him and guide him throughout the fight. It was a cool chapter. I was not super interested in it, although imagine running out of luck. It's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Like having a finite amount. No thanks. I don't want to think about it like that. But all right, Brian, what were your thoughts?
I can already kind of see where this arc is gonna go. Unfortunately, I feel like this character is still gonna be redeemed in some way, and I think Hisuke is gonna be the person who saves the day in this instance. I'm just I'm kind of just waiting for it to be resolved at this point, but at least I'm excited for it to be done in style. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. So I hope it kind of gets figured out soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, Shin is laying it on a little too thick, or is it Shin?
Shin.
Yeah, Shin's laying it on a little too thick. Like, all right, man, we get it. Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole point of this is that, like, even when Sakamoto's defending himself, he's like not killing anybody. And I had to think about it as like, is that true? Has Sakamoto not killed anybody this entire series?
No, ever since the beginning
Yeah.
of the series, he has not killed anyone.
Yeah, and I think like that's the point of like working at the store and like bringing Shin in, is that he won't have to live this life anymore. So I think like this is an interesting character moment for Shin. I'm wondering to see how it'll pay off. I don't know if he'll actually end up killing Tenkyu, if he's even capable of doing it, because I think like he is kind of the second in command at the store, and he upholds those values more than most. So I don't know if how much this is actually he's actually gonna like if he would actually do it. But I think that was the point out of it more than anything, is that Shin is quitting because he knows that like at the end of the day this would be a disappointment, and this is not why he was hired to the store in the first place. If you're working at the store in any capacity, it means that you don't kill, and because that's the family rule. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how this plays out, and this moral dilemma from Shin. But more importantly, I am excited to see more absurd action sequences.
Shin
I know
always
it's gonna
has
be good.
a cool moment, a cool fights, in my opinion. So
Yeah, I'm here for it. All right, if there's nothing else, should we move onward?
yeah.
Okay, let's move onward.
Kurapika is now drowning in an indescribable emptiness.
Hunter x Hunter.
Oh boy.
And yeah, I'm gonna toss this one over to Brian.
Okay. Here we go. So, chapter picks up where we left off last time, with Morena and Borksen starting off their negotiation game, and the the narrator actually says it himself. He's like, negotiation game begin. As Borksen picks the aim card, to which Morena is curious why she picked it, and Borksen immediately responds with, "Oh, is chit chat allowed?" And
So
Borksen
calculating.
kind of looks around the room, and she's just like, "Say, are there others? Maybe 50 in all?" She's asking, like, you know, I forget this guy's name,
Which
but there's
one?
two other Haley in the room. And
Oh,
one of them
I
is,
don't
like, a
remember their
defense
names.
Lawyer. I think it's Yoko Tani or something like that. I think that's his name.
We could go forward with that knowledge because I have no idea.
So Yoko Tani is the defense lawyer who, if somebody attacks somebody inside of the Haley hideout, he summons these indestructible robots that come in and protect
That's
them.
him.
Yeah. So if Borksen tries anything in here, she literally won't be able to do anything because Yokotani's here. If he witnesses it, it's GG. So she tries asking them if there's 50 other people, and Morena is just like, ah, nice try. They're not going to talk, but no more questions. Um, so Morena, after talking a lot more, she's just like, all right, my goal is the destruction of Kakin, and once that's done, I'm going to destroy all of humanity, and I need you to do that. And Borksen is kind of left a little confused because uh, apparently that's not enough of an explanation for Borksen, and she's saying that she wants to be on like 100% understanding of her aim. So um, Morena starts by describing her upbringing, which is the second track fakers. So essentially, she's not actually Morena Prudo, and Morena, the real Morena, is dead, and she is a Carne Lavar and a Laissez Majeste. Um, so a Carne Lavar is literally a farewell to the flesh, and essentially, um, like, okay, so it's for the Kakin royal family, held once every few years. The royal family travels incognito to a randomly selected village and holds a feast. Uh, and every single villager is sorted on the spot as an entertainer or an other. And let's say Majeste is an offense against the crown, punishable by death. Um, and her mother was forced to entertain the royals for several days without rest or sleep. And she was unable to even be aware that she'd become pregnant or given birth to Morena, and finally died when she was 2 years old. And Morena was eventually categorized as just flesh. And for the next 20 years as flesh, uh, you could only imagine what kind of shit uh, they put her through. Um, so while she fulfilled her role as flesh, she discovered a talent and honed it, and that became the catalyst of her. Oh well, that's her Hatsu. So she developed Nen during that time, and that became the reason why she started her plot to destroy Kakin. So the Carne Lavar is held irregularly, and orphans are classified according to the last two digits of the Kakin calendar. So she was born in '98, or she was part of the '98 Carne Lavar. And over 20 years before she became Haley, there have been 7 batches of carnival children. The most recent batch of orphans is the year 2000, the 2020s. Am I reading that right? So they're in the
Yeah, 20.
2020s.
Well, assuming Hunter x Hunter takes place in like our set of years. I don't know if it.
So essentially, the last carnival was held 2 years ago. So basically, we're in 2020, I'm assuming, or 2022. And essentially, that's just proof that that Kakin hasn't changed and never will change. And because of that, she wants to destroy Kakin. And she needs people with special abilities to achieve her goal. And she needs one whose ability will fill the most critical role. And she believes that uh, Borksen is that person. and that's why they're trying to recruit her. And Borksen is kind of like, how do you know it's me? And she said that she can't answer that with this card. So then one of the Haley guys come over and they start shuffling. And Morena's like, all right, please slide a card toward me and flip it over. So she pulls it forward and flips it, and it's the Joker card. So that means that yes and no are different to her. So this card has no effect for Borksen. And Morena says to discard the Joker and pick the next card. And she picks the power card. And Morena is she's flabbergasted that that Borksen would ask 2 questions about Morena in a row, and she's going to try and explain it as best as she could. And she asks if Borksen knows about Nen, which Borksen does not, which is crazy because she's extremely intelligent for somebody who doesn't know Nen.
Yo, Nen was a very well kept secret in this. Like,
yeah, definitely.
At least, maybe it varies country by country. Kakin is, I think, a little isolated in a sense, like the kingdom. So I believe that's the only reason why I think all of these people from the Kakin Empire are so, like, oh, Nen. They do talk about Nen as a secret earlier in the series, but it just makes so much less sense. Like, the more the series goes on, because there's so many people with Nen, so many hunters, so many people who aren't hunters that use Nen. I guess the way the series gets away with it is that ordinary people just think that some people have powers. Anyway, I'm droning on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing about Nen is that it's part of the hunter exam in a sense that even when you pass it, the later stage of the exam after you pass is whether you can master Nen. So even hunters coming into the organization don't really know about Nen until they graduate.
Yeah. Like the whole point of the hunter exam is to weed out potential Nen users so that they can teach them.
Yeah.
Okay. So continuing on.
That's why Killua got accepted immediately.
Yeah, because he was a fucking physical specimen, just like Gon.
Yeah.
All right. So to continue on, Borksen kind of deduces that Nen is basically a superpower, and it's supposedly being used in a succession battle. And Morena's like, yeah, you're right. That's kind of how it is. It's true that it's like a superpower, but anyone can learn it with training. There's also abilities that can awaken people to Nen, and she explains that her ability includes that aspect. So Borksen wouldn't need to train for a long time to acquire it. Then Borksen asks what her ability is, and she says that, to put it simply, her ability gives abilities to those who have the same goal as her. So she's a dealer, as it were, with a maximum of 22 players, or children, quote unquote. Once they earn enough points, they can also become a parent themselves and produce more children. Rather like a pyramid scheme, she says. I listen to each of their goals, consider their attributes, and assist and support the development of their abilities. Now I think about it, isn't this kind of similar to the I don't know if you guys will remember this, but isn't this similar to the mercenary bank account thing that happened with Ging?
I don't remember
that mercenary guy. That was like a mercenary guy that, you know what, I'll talk about it later. So she essentially, she listens to their goals and attributes and then helps them build their abilities. So essentially everybody in the Haley is gunning to become their own Morenas at the end of the day. And Borksen thinks to herself that Morena's very cunning, and the aim and ability cards, the structure of the explanations, that no matter which is picked, you want to hear the other. So if she had picked ability first, she wouldn't go any further than this. So essentially, like, it's a trick. It's a trick question to allow those two cards to be open, because if you're gonna ask about the aim, you're gonna know about the power, and if you want to know about the power, you're gonna know about the aim. So Borksen kind of deduces that everybody's goal in the Haley isn't just to destroy the Cockine Empire. And then we get into more detail about Borksen's thought process, and she's essentially from military school since before that she could remember, and she was taught that it was her duty to defend the country as long as war doesn't break out during her lifetime. And fortunately, she was smart enough to squeak into officer training school. And they had to risk their lives to listen to pop songs from rival countries a few months after their release. But learning about the untouchable outside world was part of their high school curriculum. And okay, man, there's a lot of exposition here.
Well, all this to say, it's not all very important.
Yeah, it's not super important.
Just to say that, she's just been living in this world of, very insulated, like, military upbringing, where she's been taught to just she's to serve her country more than anything.
Yeah, and now she's being proposed with the idea of destroying everything that she grew up with, and with superpowers, and destroying humanity too. And she's kind of getting flashbacks to Beyond Netero. And Morena goes on to explain that destroying Cockine is her own personal goal, and it's a small goal. But the larger goal that all of them have in common is killing people in general. So essentially, everybody has their own small goals, which would make them qualifiers for becoming like parents, essentially. So as long as everybody agrees on the large goal, they can become Haley and get an ability from Morena. And Borksen kind of thinks to herself that she's glad that she found out that Morena was an honest person, and that she can't relate at all with Morena's goals. And essentially there she resolves that she has to get the fuck out of this situation no matter what. So it seems like she's pretty solid on her resolve and won't be joining the Haleys. So this could either end in two ways for Borksen. It's either she dies or she manages to get the X card, in which she'll get out alive. And she goes on to ask, you just said personality affects superpowers. How do you know my ability that I don't even have yet? And Morena says that she's a specialist, which would be another specialist added to the series, and she would be like, even though specialists are so rare, there are a lot of specialists in this series.
Yeah, they sure are.
How many specialists are there, really? I know there's Kurapika, Borksen now, Morena,
Crollo, P2,
Saradnik, I think.
P2 is a specialist?
Saradnik. Yeah.
Yeah, Saradnik.
No. P2 is a manipulator, isn't she?
She's a specialist. Well, most of her ability has to do with with manipulating. I remember, but I think I remember her saying that she was a specialist or he, whatever. They're fucking ants. Merum is a specialist too.
Yeah.
Is what's his name a specialist? The old guy?
Moral?
No.
Netero?
No,
Netero.
Netero wasn't
No,
an
right?
answer,
He's an
I think.
emitter.
Yeah, I don't
No,
think
he was an
Netero is a specialist.
I thought he was an emitter. Yeah, this others I'm not thinking of.
Yeah, but there's like 4, I think, maybe even 4 specialists on this boat alone now, with Borksen included.
Well, that's pretty rare considering how many people are on this boat.
And she goes on to explain like the basics of Nen and how they're classified into 6 types. She says that one of her people, the dog man, is like as he's getting cheered on by the rest of the Haley people, they're kind of like, do the dog pose over here. And he's just standing there sniffing. And essentially she explains his Hatsu right there, where his enhanced sense of smell allows him to sniff out abilities. And he's currently at the level where he can identify a person's type just from the faint aura that they emit before they awaken, which is pretty fucking crazy. And even now he's searching for people like Borksen. Like they're hunting specifically for specialists. And that's why he's sniffing around. And it would be, and she goes on to explain that it would be best if we could find someone with the larger goal in common, and it doesn't have to be Borksen in particular. And she mentions that he's come across a few specialists already, as we see Krollo in this panel. And she's just like, oh yeah, and he's pretty famous too. That's what she means when she says that the longer that this negotiation takes, the more risk that Borksen is under, because if they find more specialists who fit with the goals, Borksen becomes less and less needed, so they could just fucking take her out. And Borksen goes on to ask, I want to hear more about specialists, specifically about what kind of ability you'd have me acquire. Does Morena choose their Hatsu too?
I don't think so.
No.
She just gives them the ability to use Nen. And then they level up on their own and they get their own Hatsu after a certain point.
So Morena goes to explain more about specialists, and essentially says that, about limitations and all this shit, and how you could dip into other Nen types and make some hybrid abilities. And Morena mentions that, as a side note, that she is a specialist and her ability is very unique. And she immediately uses that as a way to kind of promote herself and be like, join me and learn all about Nen. So she's like, so of course I have a specific request pertaining your ability, but that's more for this card over here, so I can't say anything else. Sorry. So she points to the yes with a question mark. And if she picks yes with a question mark, she'll tell Borksen about what kind of ability she'd want her to learn if she joined the Haley. And Borksen continues to think, no matter which card I pick next from the 4 remaining, it doesn't change my number of options. And it seems like she'd still answer questions a bit on cards even after they get sent to the graveyard, besides the question card. So for more information, the more information for her, the better. But the time risk she mentioned also comes into play. So, um, a card like the shuffling begins. She takes a card and brings it forward, and it's a yes card, which is going to be discarded. And Morina's like shocked. And she's like, "Oh dear, that's too bad. The second card, and you're already not joining us." Which brings like a kind of concerned face among not even just Borksen, but the rest of the Haley. Um, so and that automatically, you know, brings some things into Borksen's mind where she's just like, this tells me that they haven't witnessed any cheating in the past. But don't be optimistic. Have they even played this game before someone who doesn't want to join them? Um, and Morena continues, and she's just like, oh well, I'll do my best until the very end. No and X are very different after all. And she asks Borksen if she wants to know how, and she'll continue to explain that the no with a question mark um is a, like is basically saying that the no with a question mark means that she won't join them, whereas the X card voids the game itself. So they consider no with a question mark as a firm expression of her will, and it's a complete rejection. Um, and she continues to explain that she'll take it to mean that those around you and will not be one of us. And she'll be classified as other. And she will just get killed on the spot for points.
What a roundabout way of.
So she'll just be killed. So basically,
treat you like fodder.
She's saying that shit just to make it sound less bad. That, you know, that's just not trying to kill. And they won't try to recruit her again, and they won't let her leave. And Borksen, this is confirmation for Borksen that that it means that even the X card is pointless, because the third trap, that the game itself is all a trap to make me say yes. And if the X card remains, Borksen continues to explain that if the X card remains, it would still be the same, that you know our secrets, but that too will be included in voiding the game. And Borksen, oh my goodness. Borksen kind of looks up to her and like kind of, you know, dejectedly. And Morena continues to explain that this doesn't mean that that they would erase her memory, and they'll just trust that she pretended that none of this happened. And they'll not try to make contact with any of them at, like, I guess, as at all possible. So we continue on, and Borksen asks to save time. She's just gonna ask outright about the X card. That the X card not only has no merits for Morena, but the risks are too high, and she can't believe that she would trust Borksen under these circumstances too. So, could she explain that makes sense to her? And Morena's like, "Oh, good. I was about to explain. It's actually a long story, but the merits are precisely that it's very risky." So she explains that because of this, like added the high risk for the Nen vows to make the ability stronger. And if the negotiations fail in a life or death game, that the risk is so big that she has to accept the outcome, and that's what makes her ability so strong to support her people. And it's the same for the people who join. So by taking on the risk that you die if no is your last card, the effect of her ability and the resulting team unity becomes stronger. So wait, are they saying that somebody who says no will be stronger points, like higher points for Haley?
Hold on, I'm rereading this part. Let's see. Files and limitations.
I think that's what she's saying, because by taking on the risk that you die if no is your ability and the result becomes stronger.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's what she's saying, but to continue on, Borksen goes and picks up another card. She's down to 2, and the card that she's sacrificing is the X card. So the only cards left are no, which equals death, and return, which is bringing one card back from the grave, right?
Yeah.
And during this moment, an alarm goes off, and we find out that martial law has been declared. Finally, special martial law has been declared. So that means some shit has fucking gone down.
Yeah, and the thirst bucket Benjamin is finally. Benjamin was like, martial law.
So this is pretty fucking bad. Something happened. Somebody is dead. Something happened on the first floor that we don't know. So theoretically, at this point, anybody could be dead. Kurapika could be dead. Like, everybody could be dead. Like, I don't know. But that ends the chapter right there, with martial law being declared, and we'll probably be moving on from Borksen and Morena. Josh, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is the RGC for me.
Yeah, it is for me as well. I don't know about you, Brian.
Yeah, I'll give it to it.
Yeah, in a very short one.
Unified RGC. Unified RGC. Unified RGC.
Oh yeah, I love hearing those One Piece horns.
Yeah, me too.
So, I don't have much depth to add to this of thought, other than just I love reading all of this. I really do. I mean, the card game itself is kind of like whatever, but it's just a vehicle to learn more about these characters and see what their motivations are. I said it last week, but I want to say it again. I mean, the regular citizens, like the characters without Nen in this series are still so capable. Like this chick that's been in the army, hella smart. She's able to clock all of these people that have these Nen abilities. At least, you know, based on their mannerisms and stuff. That's powerful in of itself. You know, I bet this girl would definitely pass the Hunter exam. Actually made me think.
Pass the Hunter exam, she would be fucking so OP as a Nen user.
I wonder if there's any other I wonder if like characters from other series would pass the Hunter exam too. But maybe we can think about that for another day. Yeah. So, is there anything else I really want to say? I don't think there's a whole lot of specialists in Hunter x Hunter. I didn't want to try to make it seem like that was the case. It's just that, you know, a lot of the important characters end up being specialists, which makes sense. And I have no issue with that personally. I don't care. I do want to see. Nah, everything's fine. Okay, those are my thoughts. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I really like this chapter. The card game is very interesting. In that it is just forcing her to say yes. It is forcing her to join that group, you know? And I'm wondering, I had a thought about this. I don't know why it escaped me about the specifics of why they're playing this game instead of just forcing her to do. Oh, yeah. I'm wondering if the reason that Miranda's going through all this trouble is because her ability requires someone to accept it. Like, she can't just force someone to have Nen abilities. They have to actively.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
And I think it is because like the whole point is that she has to be able to. She gives someone a Nen ability, and it only works if they share similar goals. So in order for her to even activate Borksen's specialist ability, they have to be on the same team in theory. So yeah, I think that makes sense actually. Now that I think about it, I answered my own question. So yeah, this is a roundabout way of making sure that she's able to even give Borksen an ability by forcing her to be like, yeah, I'm joining your team. Yeah, I wonder how this is going to resolve. One thing I was thinking the entire way through this chapter is just like, Borksen looks like there's no way out here, but Finks and Phaeton are on their way to them.
Oh, true.
So I was wondering if that's like a thing that's about to happen.
Oh, is that transmitter in there?
Yeah. Yeah, the lawyer is the one they were talking about. The one that Brian explained earlier.
Yeah.
So that was something.
Yokotani.
Not that they'd save Borksen necessarily, but they'd provide Borksen an opportunity to escape.
Borksen.
That's also a crazy name for a character so important. Borksen.
What does it mean?
Nothing. It means nothing. It's literally like it's almost like Bork.
Like pork.
Yeah, like pork. Porksen.
What would it be? And sin.
That girl is Borksen. Borksen.
Boom, 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 boom.
That girl is Borksen.
Great, Brian. I'm gonna have that in my head all day now. Miss her, kiss her.
Boom, 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 bing. If I were you, I'd take precaution.
I take pro Borksen.
I take pro Borksen.
Borksen.
Well, that might be the title this week. If I were you, I'd take pro Borksen.
She's playing this card game right now.
Oh.
She finds it hard to get out.
It's Brian's writing it now. He's really invested. Well, anyway, those are all my thoughts about Hunter x Hunter. I like this chapter. Borksen.
Borksen.
No, you guys are gonna get this stuck in my
That's
head.
gonna be the worst now. We're
I'm
never
thinking
gonna
about
stop.
Borksen, poison, and then I'm gonna be singing Borksen instead. And now we've cursed the entire audience, the listening audience of New Jump City. Borksen.
That's our Nen ability.
Yeah.
If we get Borksen stuck in your head, gain an
Borksen.
ability.
Anyway, all right, we should move on to the next one. You guys ready to roll?
Yeah.
Then let's roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fill me picking into the car with me so I can't chat.
Undead Unluck. With that, I'm gonna pass this one over to Josh.
Yeah, this is Undead Unluck. Chapter number
232.
Thank you. 332. 232. I don't know the title yet. But well, we're winding down towards the end of the series. Last week, Julia, also known as Injustice, single-handedly helped everybody else win against their Master Rule counterparts. It was a sad sight to see. It was cool for her, sad for us as fans. I'm just gonna move forward. So, oh, by the way, Victor and Julia are here. at the same time as Fuko and Andy. Andy and well, we'll get into how that's able to happen later on in this chapter. So, yeah, Fugo's shocked to see that Victor's around. Andy doesn't really understand. No one really understands why that's the case.
No one
Fugo
understands.
doesn't know what to call. Yeah, no one knows yet. Fugo's also fumbling over the fact that like, oh, I don't know what to call you, like Julia or Juiz, and she was like, you could call me Julia. All right. She's like, y'all fought to, y'all fought. Or he said my previous self, passed it, passed the loop on to you, and that's how I got this name. So I want to honor that. And she's looked at Victor's like, you could call me Juiz though. Don't get shit twisted. So, all right. That's when Fuko starts freaking about how Andy and Victor's like lasting at the same time. And Victor basically is like, nah, I think Andy did this on purpose. Like, that's why he let half of his head get sliced by death. That part of his soul died, and that, in him, which gave me a chance to have my soul come alive in that piece of flesh and then, regenerate, blah, 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 blah. Cool stuff. But as they're speculating how, how Victor came to be, soul launches into the body of God, the sun god himself, Gundam style. And he's all like, oh, I'm sick and tired of watching you pathetic glitches. Use your glitched moves. You guys are OP and need to be banned.
I'm tired
Listen
of you
here.
cheesing the game.
Yeah, you can't have two of the same people at once. That's cheating. You're using mods, and I'm gonna ban you. You're a hacker. So so which one of you is the main player, Undead? And they're like, man, like Annie and Victor, like, we're both the main character, right? Like, no one gives a shit about that. He's like, but even more so, Soul, as Soul blasts this huge energy beam towards them through God's body. Wow, that sounds epic as hell. There, I just realized how casual I said that.
So epic.
So yeah. They're zipping around trying to avoid these blasts, and they try to attack Soul, and they create a crack. I don't know what they hit. I guess it was God's face, and it was a glass. It's a lot happening. You know, but they're trying to explain how like Victor is and Andy is talking to Soul, explain to him how like the story was started by Undead and Injustice, and then it switched over to Undead and Unluck, right? But now, what it basically turned into us awakening like all the other negators. So it's not Undead Unluck now it's everything, infinity, negate everything, guys. Each of them share the lead role. So that is the way you made it, ain't it? So yeah, they try to prove the. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. So after this, Soul gets real salty about that monologue, which we've already confirmed that he does not like listening to them. He gets sick of their shit. He said that before in a couple chapters. So yeah, confirmed 100% he's annoyed. And so he starts to merge Annie and Victor's body back. And then in arguably the best part of the entire comic, of this chapter, I mean, Rip comes out of nowhere and slices the connection, the mold connecting Annie and Victor together, so now they can be their own people. I don't know if it's forever or only for like 8 more minutes while he has Andy's flesh, but man, that means Victor could fight, and they go ahead and use unlimited dead road. He says, "You see that, Soul? You're up against the last and strongest union. We're gonna all fucking jump you, bro." And Soul's not looking good at all. Yeah, that's the end of the chapter. Brian, what were your thoughts?
Yep. The series
Indeed.
is going. Series is going. It is. This was a new chapter.
It is certainly going.
Yep. Things are happening. Oh, there's Soul. Yep. Yep. Those are my thoughts.
Feel you.
Yeah, I mean, it is just kind of disappointing that, it's just sprinting to the end, And we've made the mistake before of calling Undead Unluck canceled when it wasn't. It only took us 2 years, but we finally got it right.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't, it's just kind of lame. It's not a fun feeling, Because we did like Undead Unluck here. We were here for a long time. I don't remember exactly what chapter we jumped in on, but it may have been like 2 years ago. Yeah,
I don't remember the arc. Oh, I jumped in when the Remember arc happened. When Fuko went to the past.
Yeah.
To learn about what happened with Andy.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact episode in which we started talking about Undead Unluck. Jeez. Undead Unluck.
It's been a long time though.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long time. So to see it go out like this, it's kind of sad. But I don't know. What are you gonna do? For what it is,
unlimited Dead Road was pretty cool though.
Yeah, I mean, it's still obviously cool. There's like little moments we're seeing here that are sick, wicked sick, and I'm grateful for those. But man, I wish we could have seen the series end on its own terms.
Yes.
It's a shame that it got. Why would they cancel it like literally right as it's ending? You know what I mean?
Well, because it wasn't really going to end. I think like they were gearing up for another arc when they were supposed to start taking down the master rules almost one by one. But, Yeah,
man. Tough shit. Some really dope arcs. There was really nice development and time being put into these characters. And I guess it's starting to come to an end.
Yeah.
What more can you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's a reminder that your favorite series could end at any point,
Yeah.
So, enjoy them while you can.
Yeah, don't take them for granted.
But, on that somber note, I mean, next week I don't know how many chapters are left, but I'm going to try to, from here on out, enjoy it for what it is and enjoy the waning moments of our time with Undead Unluck. Or we could be entirely wrong and there's just going to be another arc after this. We've been down this road before. We've definitely hit that road.
Hit the road, Jack. What you coming back? No more, no more, no more, no more.
That's right, Brian.
Would Fuko pass the Hunter exam? Yeah, absolutely. Definitely this version of Fuko.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Anyway, those are all my thoughts on Undead. Any rebuttals or anything?
No, sir.
All right. With that being said, that was Undead Unluck, and that has been our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. We picked up Undead Unluck in episode 93, by the way. 3 years ago. Just as a side
Damn.
note. Yeah. Yeah, the first chapter we read was 47 for the show. So that's the first chapter we covered. But anyway, that was our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. As per usual, you could find me at the Chris Espinal on Instagram and Twitter. Brian is at b.esp on Instagram and Twitter. Josh is at jdcole_37 on Instagram, at New Jump City Josh on Twitter. Brian, you can follow the show itself at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram. Email us at newjumpcitypod@gmail.com with any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about. We'll talk about it on the pre-show chat show. Yeah, check that show out. It comes out like 2 days after the main show does. And yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying that. Subscribe to us while you're at it. Give us a like, share. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave a review wherever you're listening. Leave comments, all that stuff. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. One Piece should be back next week, so that's exciting.
Yay.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, I missed One Piece. But yeah, that's it. Stay safe, New Jump citizens.